Hi everyone, it's great speaking with you today. 77 years ago this week, the State of Israel was established in order to accomplish two goals: to be a safe haven for the Jewish people and to create an exemplary society in the land of Israel. 77 years later, Israel is a wonder of innovation. It's strong militarily, and in the past year and a half we saw how resilient it is and how vocal and participatory its public is. Many of those are indeed exemplary. But Israel is also a troubled country, deep in an ongoing crisis. Research shows that solidarity and social cohesion are based on two types of trust in a society: vertical in institutions and horizontal between different groups in society. The State of Israel is in deep crisis of vertical trust. Not only the traditional institutions suffer from distrust, the government and the courts, but also institutions that were always considered in Israel as sacred: the military, and now also the Israeli Secret Service, the Shin Bet. And Israeli society also suffers deep fractions between the different groups in society: secular Jews, religious Zionists, Haredis and Arab Israelis, Ashkenazis and Sephardis, supporters of the government and proponents of it. One of the major challenges in Israeli society today is how fractured and polarized it is. And in this polarization, many in each side consider the other side not as political adversaries, people I deeply disagree with about the right course of action, but like me, they care about the state, they care about the future of our society. No, too many times today, the other side is perceived as the true enemies, traitors, people who endanger our existence in Israel. Whether it is about the hostages deal, the war, legal reforms, or judicial overhaul, many Israelis find it difficult to discuss the merits of an issue without assigning nefarious intentions to the opposing side, sending them outside of the camp. They're not lovers of Israel. They should be outcasts. The Parsha this week, Tazria Metzora, deals extensively with outcasts. Through the institution of tzarat, translated as leprosy, in different parts of the body, in clothes, even in homes, Parshat Tazria maps out the different lesions or affections as phenomena that reflect impurity and needs treatment. Now, this is the process. A person that has a lesion needs to be brought to the Kohen, to the priest. The Kohen then examines the affection and pronounces the person impure. Following the pronouncement, the priest isolates the person. They need to be alone until the affection disappears. The leprous is described in Leviticus chapter 13, verses 44 to 46. He is a leprous man. He is impure. His clothes shall be rent. The head shall be left bare. The upper lip shall be covered over. And that person shall call out. Listen to this. This person needs to call out on himself: impure, impure. The person shall be impure, the Torah tells us, as long as the affection is present. The person shall dwell apart in a dwelling outside the camp. This is a true outcast. His appearance is shabby. It kind of reminds us of mourning, right? He's removed from society. He does not dwell with us because he's impure, because he did something wrong. Throughout the years, the term leprosy became synonym to outcast, and the political meaning exists early on. In Chronicles 2, chapter 26, speaks about Uzziah, a great king of Judea. Uzziah ruled Judea for 26 years, and the Torah tells us he pleased God. He was a successful warrior and leader. But then he grows strong, and he becomes obsessed with his power. He becomes arrogant, and he becomes corrupt. And he decides to breach the balance between the two branches of that time, the king and the priest. He trespasses the temple to offer ktoret, incense, which is the priest's job. And indeed, the priests admonish him: this is not for you to do. You should go out. Uzziah gets angry at the priests and intends to carry on. At that moment, leprosy breaks out on his forehead, right there in front of the priests. The priests are shocked at the situation, such impurity in a holy place, and they hurry him out. And Uzziah also realizes he must leave because it was clear that the leprosy came from God. Now, as opposed to the lepers we read about in this parsha, those that dwell alone until they heal, Uzziah was a leper until the day he died. and he lived in isolation until the day he died. He wasn't fit to rule any longer. The Torah reminds us that leaders who betray their responsibility and leadership should be outcasts. They are not fit to rule any longer. But since we no longer have the physical eruption of leprosy as a sign of impurity, it's sometimes difficult to diagnose impurity in our camp. Or more accurately, who's the impure? Who's committing the impurity in our camp? We definitely perceive impurity. We feel that something is not right in our camp. But the question is what we do with it. If we want to strive for a society that is pure, but that is also thriving, that is exemplary. If Chronicles 2 give us one model of leprosy, Kings 2 provides us with a different model. In the time of Prophet Elisha, the city of Samaria, the capital of the kingdom of Israel, is in war against Aram. The city is under heavy siege and the people are starved. The story tells us that 4 men, lepers, outcasts, sit in the gates of the city. They were sent from the city as they are lepers, right? They cannot dwell with us. They are so starved and they are so despaired that they decide to turn themselves into the enemy of Aram. They reach the Aramean camp, the military camp, and they're surprised to find it completely empty of people, but filled with food and money. They eat. They take money and gold and clothes and they hide them. And then they stop in their tracks and they say to each other, "We are not doing right." And that's a quote. "We are not doing right. This is a day of good news," a besorah in Hebrew, good tidings. "And we are keeping silent. If we wait until the light of morning, we shall incur guilt." They say to one another, "We have to go and tell the king that the siege is basically over. The people in the city of Samaria sent them out. They will not dwell with us." But the 4 men say, "We can't not tell the king and the people of Israel something so substantial, something that will save their lives." So they go to the gatekeepers of the city and they tell them, "The Aramean camp is empty. There's no enemy any longer, and there's food there." In the model of leprosy that is given to us by Kings 2, the bearers of the good news, the messengers of redemption, are outcasts, people who are impure, who did something to earn their leprosy according to the Torah. And they, not the prophet, not the soldiers, they are God's messengers of the good tidings. How can we tell between the 2 models? The person who's irredeemable and therefore should be outcast forever, and the person who can return and be cooperated with? This is a question that the people of Israel are asking themselves now. Are the Haredis part of my people, even when they allow my kids and my husband and my family to go to combat and risk their lives without carrying the burden with us? Are those opposing a hostages deal irredeemable and should be outcasts no matter their reasons? Are those protesting against the government and the war irredeemable and should be outcasts? Are those who aren't? What's interesting is that this is not a new question in our history and the history of the Zionist movement. Before the establishment of the State of Israel, there was a political issue that prompted the leader of the Zionist movement then and the Labor Party, later to become Israel's first prime minister, David Ben-Gurion, to cooperate with Ze'ev Jabotinsky, the leader of Beitar and the revisionist movement, the spiritual father of the Likud movement. The famous poet, the famous Israeli poet Rachel, who fiercely objected the collaboration, wrote a poem as a response called A Day of Tidings. It's from 1926. And in the poem, she refers to the story in Kings 2 and compares it to the political situation they're facing then. And the poem goes like this. Now there were 4 men stricken with leprosy at the entrance of the gate. This is a day of good news. For a long while, the dreadful enemy laid siege to Samaria. 4 lepers brought tidings of freedom. So this is the story of Kings 2. Now listen how it continues. Like Samaria under siege, so is the entire land. The famine is too hard to bear. But I will not want news of redemption if it comes from the mouth of a leper. Let one who is pure bring news. and let the pure redeem. And if the pure proves unable, then let me die among the ravages of the siege on the end of the great day of tidings. In Rachel's eyes, Jabotinsky is an outcast, a leper, and she's uninterested to cooperate with him, even if it is for the good of a society in deep crisis. She says, if the pure is unable to redeem us, I reject redemption altogether. Chaim Guri, another seminal poet of that time, protests against this conclusion, and he sends Rachel a public note, saying, Rachel, add me too as fifth to these four, not as bad, but not more pure. And the thing is, Rachel is right in condemning the lepers. Uzziah became arrogant and corrupt and betrayed his leadership role. He was rightly outcasted for the rest of his life because his actions hurt society. But Chaim Guri is also right about the four lepers. The majority of people in our society are not the extreme evil sinners. They might be people who I deeply disagree with. In fact, I think the path they lead endanger us and might cost us dearly. But they are a part of me as I am a part of them. We have two situations of the leader that becomes permanently impure. There's no remedy. And the people who sinned but are able to return or fix the ailment. Part of the challenge is to differentiate between the two cases and act accordingly. Do I treat someone as a temporary outcast or a permanent one? 77 years after its establishment, it is clear that there are ailments and lesions and impurity in the state of Israel. Israeli society is in deep crisis and ongoing pain, and it is caught between the story of Uzziah and the story of the four lepers, a permanent ailment that is irredeemable and a temporary ailment that can be fixed, where the people are still a part of us and could potentially be the bearers of redemption. Even though it's difficult to distinguish between the two or when to apply each, what is clear about Israeli society today is that it cares deeply and is committed to fixing its problems, becoming pure, realizing our aspirations to become an exemplary society in the land of Israel. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach.